حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله رب العالمين، أحمده سبحانه وتعالى وأستعينه وأستهديه وأستغفره وأتوب إليه، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، بيده الخير وبيده الأمر وبيده ملكوت كل شيء وهو على كل شيء قدير. وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدًا عبد الله ورسوله، أرسله الله بالهدى ودين الحق هاديا ومبشرا ونذيرا. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري Praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator of humankind, and peace and blessings on our beloved Rasul Muhammad, peace be upon him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Inshallah, I'm planning to talk today about a topic that's a little bit sensitive. It is dealing with the many Islam in Al-Muharram. So Al-Muharram, as we know, especially today is the 10th day of Al-Muharram, and we call it Ashura, Al-Ashir, while the Sunnis fast during that day. The Shiite community, they mourn. So it is a mourning time for them. So I thought that, I think it would be of benefit to deal with this thing, not because of us adults. Maybe for us adults, we understand this subject and we can deal with it. Maybe we cannot deal with it. But for sure, the young Muslims are a little bit confused when they deal with the two terms. And two young girls, I remember they were debating this issue, especially that their father was Sunni and their mother was Shi'i. And of course, you see the interfaith marriage is going on, whether while on one side, some people are engaged in countless criticism, but on the other side, we find that men and women from both are marrying each other. So the two little girls were debating this. So what should we do? Half of us Sunni, half of us Shi'i. So they said, why don't we call ourselves Sushi? Sushi is, SU is Sunni, and SH is Shi'i. So it is a confusion that we need to learn how to deal with it. Using violence to solve this problem is contrary to Islam. It is not approved at all that we solve our differences through violence or bloodshed. And what we can learn from the history of Islam, like I give you an example that in At-Tirmidhi, rahimahullah, he narrated a hadith from Abdullah ibn Umar, radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma. He says, Sa'ada Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam al-mimbar. So Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam ascended the mimbar. And mimbar is a pulpit. And gave a short statement. And what he says, Ya ma'ashara man aslama bilisanih. ولم يؤمن ولم يدخل الإيمان إلى قلبه لا تؤذوا المسلمين. Like, and then he mentioned a couple of things. He said, Ya ma'shar. Ma'shar is O people. O people whom you confess Islam only by your tongue, and the faith never entered your heart. Do not harm the Muslims. So what we see here, that it is maybe if you put things today and compare it to yesterday, you may find the same thing. So our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam was dealing with the many Islam. So he was dealing with the people who have faith. He was dealing with the people who just by tongue. Now, we know also that Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he dealt with the issue of the munafiqeen, the hypocrites. And the Quran mentioned something about the hypocrites, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for some reason, did not disclose their names. because they were hypocrites, means hiding. So, but in some instances, some of those hypocrites, they started to reveal themselves. And like we have Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, once he suggested, he said, well, let me kill those hypocrites whom we know at least. And Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam prohibited him. He said, I don't want anyone to say, Inna Muhammadan yaqtulu ashabah, that Muhammad is killing his people. Okay? So with that, it means when I talk about the two issues here, Sunnis and Shi'is, maybe there are others also, because from the Sunnis there are some groups, from the Shi'is there are other groups also, but I choose to talk only about these two groups only. So what we understand here, that we have to learn, our children in particular, they need to learn to differentiate between the ideal of Islam and the reality of Muslims, not Islam. The ideal of Islam, ummatukum ummatun wahida, that we all would like to come under one banner, because that's Islam. Islam cannot be divided. Islam is Islam, because you have it through the Quran and you have it through the prophetic tradition, the Sunnah. And these are clear. So there are no two Islam, there are no many Islam. There is only one Islam. And we Muslims, we need to learn how to be proud of our faith. And the issue of compromising, you know, there are ways to compromise, but not to compromise Islam. Like, I tell you, as I said, Ashura is a sad event for the Shiites. So some Muslims, they want to show solidarity with the Shia. So what they do, they wear black things because they want to do like them. That's what they do. They wear black outfits and all. So they want to, just to show that, you know, we are together. And they choose to wear certain things. That's not the way to compromise. This is not compromise. We are compromising our ideals here. And we do not compromise our ideals. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what we know, that he came to Medina and he found the people, the Jews of Medina, fasting the 10th of Al-Muharram. He said, why you fast that day? And they explained it's the day that Musa alayhi salam was saved. He said, oh, we are more deserve to do that. So he asked the Muslims, he said, fast the 9 and the 10. Or fast the 10 only, or fast the 9, the 10, and the 11. So we hold on to that. But at the same time, we need to learn how we deal with the other issue. We need to, like, explain to our children why there are two camps. And the beginning start that during the life of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, there was only one Islam. During the Khulafa, there was only one Islam. And that thing happened right after the murder of Al-Imam Ali radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Things started to go in the open. And you may say, well, there was something hidden inside. Then we say, well, if there was something hidden inside during the four caliphs, which we know that Al-Imam Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu gave the pledge of allegiance, the bay'ah, to Abu Bakr, to Umar, to Uthman. And if I tell you these names, that these names existed during the time of Al-Khulafa. Like, we have this name, Umar, son of Ali ibn Abi Talib. We have Umar, son of Al-Hussein, son of Al-Hassan, ibn Ali, ibn Umar, ibn Al-Hussein, ibn Ali. Look at that long name. We have Umar ibn Ali Zainul Abidin ibn Al-Hussein. Remember, ibn is son. And we have Umar ibn Musa al-Qazim. We have Aisha bint Ja'far al-Sadiq. We have Aisha bint Musa al-Qazim. Bint is daughter. And Aisha bint Ali al-Rida. We have Aisha bint Ali al-Hadi. We have Abu Bakr ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib. We have Abu Bakr ibn al-Hasan ibn Ali. We have Abu Bakr ibn al-Hussein ibn Ali. We have Abu Bakr ibn Musa al-Kazim. When you look at these names, what is the hidden envy inside? I mean, those people loved one another. And when I look to the Sahaba, I see all of them the same. And this may put us in trouble. Do you know why? Because I know that if someone criticized people whom you love, you respond by criticizing people he or she loves. And this situation cannot be applied to us because you cannot criticize Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He is the cousin of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He is the caliph. He is one of the 10 given the good news to be in the Jannah. And you talk about Umar, talk about Abu Bakr, about Uthman, okay. Abu Bakr and Umar were the right hand of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And Uthman ibn Affan, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, was married to the daughter of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And after her death, Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam also gave him in marriage his second daughter. And after the death of the second daughter, he said to him, if I have a third one, I would give it to you in marriage. So, yes, it is painful for me that during the time of Al-Muharram, to hear someone swearing at one of the Sahaba, or talking about Aisha. Not because Aisha is a person, just because she was the wife of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam and radiyallahu ta'ala anha. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Surah Al-Ahzab, وَأَزْوَاجُهُ أُمَّهَاتُهُم. So the wives of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam are considered the mothers of the believers. So it is painful, okay? But I want to know how to deal with it and why that thing started. Was it true? Well, of course, when we look at the life of Al-Hasan, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, we have two narrations. One of them that he died normal death. Another narration, he was poisoned. Most likely, according to many narrations, by his wife. He was poisoned and he died. But Al-Hasan after the murder of his father, Al-Imam Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, after the murder, he made a deal with Muawiyah that Muawiyah will be the ruler, provided that he will not inherit the caliphate to any of his children. He will not make it monarchy. That was the deal. And Al-Hassan died. But for some reason, Muawiyah decided to give the caliphate to Yazid, his son. Now, let me talk about Al-Yazid, and if I want to introduce him, I will introduce him by a Sunni writer, just to know something about this man. Al-Imam al-Dhahabi, rahimahullah, he's a great scholar of the people of the Sunnah. He is a Sunni scholar. And he mentioned in his writing, he mentioned positive things and negative things about Al-Yazid. Yeah, he did say that he was strong, he was wise, he was courageous, and all these things. But when he continued, he mentioned the negative things, and the negative things supersede the positive things. So he says that كان ناصبا فظا جلفا يتناول المسكر يفعل المنكر. And so he mentioned things that he used to drink alcohol. He was alcoholic. And he was very rude with people. But he mentioned something that he started his rulingship by the killing of Al-Hussein, which is something acknowledged here. Yes, there was that. And then he said he ended his rulingship by a massacre. That it's called Waqat al-Harra. This was a massacre, and the army of Al-Yazid, they did not kill Shi'i, they killed Muslims. They killed a great number of children of Sahaba, and even after the Sahaba. And Al-Imam al-Dhahabi, he concluded as فَمَقَتَهُ النَّاسِ, like the people hated him. All people hated him. And not just that, beside that, he said that his army, which, you know, we say that was the Muslim army, but it was under his leadership. They went through the sacredness of the Kaaba, and they invaded the Masjid al-Nabawi. And why they did that? Because after the murder of Al-Hussein, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the people of Medina decided to withdraw their allegiance from Al-Yazid. So they, because Al-Yazid, he used his capital in Damascus. It's far away from Medina. So they decided to deport the representative of the caliph outside of Medina. So in response, Al-Yazid, he ordered his army to attack Medina, and where a number of Muslims were killed. And this was called a massacre. This is a fact. Now, to criticize Muawiyah because of the act of his son, it is like you want to condemn Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam because his son was not a believer. So you do not cross the line, we can criticize Al-Yazid, and in fact, Al-Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, rahimahullah, he asked his father, he said, do you love Al-Yazid? Yazid. He said, وَهَلْ يُحِبُّهُ مُؤْمِنٌ? He said, a believer can never love this man. So yes, we say that this is something happened to our history, but I want to learn from our history by learning how to unite our efforts, how to go back to the original Islam. And then there are some suggestions here that Sunni and Shias are little bit under the pressure of the history. And thus, you can be surprised. You can see that there are interfaith activities between Muslims and the Christians and Jews. We have interfaith activity, meetings, but we don't have it among the Shia and the Sunnis. Why? Well, what we know, that not all the Shia, they swear or insult the Sahaba. There is a good size of number of Shias who believe that Shias should not insult or talk negative about the Sahaba, nor to talk about Sayyida Aisha. And those people, I think we can have a dialogue with them, and we can talk about it, and we can express our feelings that insulting the Sahaba is going to increase division and hatred among the Muslims. So there should be a kind of solidarity between the Sunnis and the Shias. Imams from both, they need to meet each other from time to time, over lunch, over dinner. Presidents of Islamic Center, administrators of Islamic centers need also to be ready to do the same by inviting them to the masjid, going to the masjid, to their masajid, and explaining that we need to learn from the history positively. And we need to have our efforts. There's one moderate Shia. He says, we Shiites, we struggle to implement the Quran and the Sunnah in our life. But I tell you why these are major differences, especially by the extremists. There are extreme Shiism, there is no doubt. Same as we have extreme Sunnis at the same time. You explore the writings of some Sunni scholars, and you will see that they say Shia are kuffar. That's it, period. They don't want to go beyond that. And you go to the extreme Shia scholars also, where they say the Sunnis are Nasibi and they are not Muslims. Okay? We have them. We have from both sides. But the reality is, from both sides also, there are moderates. So one of them said to me, you know that why those extremist Shia, why they insist on talking bad about the Sahaba? And in their writings, when they sit during Al-Muharram, and when they start beating themselves, and then they swear at the Sahaba and they curse the Sahaba, they said, because without that, they are Sunnis. If you remove these things, it is the same thing. When you talk about Christianity, if you remove the issue of Jesus and the divine nature of Jesus, then the Christians are Muslims. There's nothing, the rest similar. Everything, many things similar. So they said they have to keep this alive. And others also said they have to keep the hatred going from generation to a generation. That's why today the only interfaith is happening. The only interface is interface marriage between the Sunni and the Shias. Besides that, when you look officially, well, look at like you have Al-Azhar, the highest Islamic authority. You have in Saudi Arabia another also highest authority. You find little activities between the Sunnis and the Shias going on. And why? Because there are groups from both sides. They have to spread, make sure that the hatred need to continue. The Sunnis toward the Shias toward the Sunnis. And I believe this cycle must end. Otherwise, we have to deal with different generations when they come and say, what's going on among us Muslims? I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us all into His Sirat al-Mustaqim. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله محمد بن عبد الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير. So tonight, inshallah, before the Maghrib at 7:30, there is a gathering here in this masjid, and there is a khatir, a reflection on the day of Ashura with Imam Abdul Qadir Farah. And today, inshallah, after Maghrib, also a presentation on Islamic real estate and financing. And there are many activities. Actually, what I suggest that you log on the Facebook of Islamic Center, ISBCC, and you learn about the many activities going on, whether in Cambridge or here in Roxbury. What is important to conclude is that it's a really hot day. And that's why I try to shorten myself as much as I can. But this should remind us of something, this Islamic Center. You know, I tell you, it's my electricity bill. It's about $700 a month. So imagine this Islamic Center where they have to, you know, provide air conditioning continuously. And I tell you, at least $7,000, at least. And I know it is $20,000 a month they have to pay. It means like whatever they collect on Friday will not be helpful to pay just the electricity bill. So I urge you, this is an honest suggestion, that you need to be part of this masjid. And whatever you can help financially, please do so. And may Allah guide us. I pray that may Allah give shifa to all those who are not feeling well today. And I know there are people praying here and their loved ones in hospital. I pray for them, and please pray for them. And we say, اللهم رب الناس أذهب البأس، اللهم اشف أنت الشافي، اللهم لا شفاء إلا شفاؤك يا Allah. So we pray that may Allah grant shifa to all those who are not feeling well today. And I pray that may Allah have rahmah on all those who departed this earthly life. And I pray that all the oppressed Muslims anywhere in this world, may Allah give them strength, and may Allah make a way for them, and may Allah make the hearts of Muslims friendly to one another so that all of them can extend help to them. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار. اللهم ارزقنا الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى. اللهم ارزقنا علما نافعا وقلبا خاشعا ولسانا حافظا ذاكرا. اللهم اشف مرضانا وارحم موتانا واختم بالصالحات أعمالنا وتوفنا وأنت راض عنا يا ربنا. وصل اللهم وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. أقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح، قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله.
استقيموا إلى الصلاة يرحمني ويرحمكم الله. سووا صفوفكم فإن تسوية الصفوف من إقامة الصلاة. صلوا صلاة مودع. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين، إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين، اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. محمد رسول الله والذين معه أشداء على الكفار رحماء بينهم، تراهم ركعا سجدا يبتغون فضلا من الله ورضوانا، سيماهم في وجوههم من أثر السجود، ذلك مثلهم في التوراة ومثلهم في الإنجيل كزرع أخرج شطأه فآزره فاستغلظ فاستوى على سوقه يعجب الزراع ليغيظ بهم الكفار. وعد الله الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات منهم مغفرة وأجرا عظيما. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. لإيلاف قريش إيلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف فليعبدوا رب هذا البيت الذي أطعمهم من جوع وآمنهم من خوف. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام تباركت وتعاليت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك